Inclusion means nobody feeling or being left out. Accessibility means being able to take part in something that everyone else can. I'm known as the blind cook. My greatest passion is building connections with people. I'm Christine Ha, the winner of MasterChef Season 3, chef and owner of The Blind Goat in Xinjiao. As a child, I was actually very timid. I was a picky eater, and I always chose to play with my toys over eating. I did have a very vivid imagination. I think a lot of that stemmed from my love for reading, so I was constantly reading books. When I was in undergraduate college, getting my degree at UT Austin, I moved out of the dorms into a small apartment that I shared with 2 roommates. So I decided that I would teach myself to cook. I bought a cheap set of pots and pans and knives and some used cookbooks from a bookstore. My mom died when I was younger and she didn't leave any recipes, so it was hard for me to recreate her dishes. I think my love for cooking stemmed from bringing my mom's memory back into my life, and then also the joy would come from feeding my roommates and my friends the food that I created. And of course, there were a lot of times when the food wasn't great, but when there would be something that they enjoyed, I think it gave me a lot of pleasure to be able to create something with my own 2 hands and make other people happy with it. When I was 20, I started noticing that there was a blurry thing happening to one of my eyes. And over several years, my vision would gradually decrease over time. I started experiencing optic nerve inflammation in both eyes. Each time my vision would decrease more, I would have to reteach myself how to cook from a new level of vision loss. So it was kind of a back and forth thing. It's definitely tough, but I think if anything, I learned from my parents being refugees from Vietnam that resilience and determination play a very important role in where you make it in life. So, there were definitely harder days than others, and sometimes I wanted to give up, but I knew that over time I had to learn to be as independent as possible, and that meant cooking for myself. I would say that because I have one less sense, I pay much more attention, and I have to hone into my remaining 4 senses because that's how I take in my environment. When I started losing my vision, I really had no choice but to get people to help me, whether it's reading my mail or getting to the doctor's office or just relying on other people for emotional stability. It taught me that it's okay to ask for help, and that more often than not, when you do, people are more than happy to help you. I think I'm still only just a pretty decent cook. If anything, I think my friends and my family said, hey, you're able to cook a lot better than someone even with vision. So I think that is kind of what got me onto the path of auditioning for MasterChef. I think at the time when I was going through MasterChef, I didn't have any idea that I would be a potential role model or inspiration to people. I'm just me, and when you just kind of know your world, and yes, I'm visually impaired, and yes, I can cook, but I didn't think that was something that was amazing. I just thought it was something that I just had to learn to do. But there was one day I remember very specifically when the remaining contestants and I were getting back into the casting van to go to set, and one of the other contestants told me, he's like, do you realize, Christine, that after all this is over, it's so much bigger than just MasterChef? And then other people agreed, and they said, you're going to be such an inspiration for so many people. And I didn't really think about it until I think as the show aired and I started getting contacted on the internet by all these people sharing their stories. I didn't realize the full significance, I think, of my presence on television or how it would impact other people. I do wholeheartedly believe, even though a lot of times it's in hindsight, that the biggest rewards in life come from the greatest challenges. If anything I learned on MasterChef, it was to begin to trust my intuition and my gut. I'm Christine. This is my husband, John. We own Xinjiao with Chef Tony. I just want to welcome you in. There are 3 partners at Xinjiao. There's me, there's my husband, John, and then Chef Tony Nguyen. What if I bring in springform pans and then we make actual like 8-inch or 9-inch cakes and then just do slices? Tony and I are both Vietnamese American. We both grew up in Houston, so we ate a lot of Texas food, Gulf Coast food, but we wanted to take Vietnamese cuisine to another level. The reason we had to open up this restaurant during 2020 was because we signed the lease in January 2020. We knew at the beginning that this was going to be a long-term thing, that this pandemic wasn't going to go away that quickly, so we had to figure out a way to make it work. We pivoted a little bit with our menu and our service, but life often is not ideal, and you just have to quickly adapt and figure out a way to make things work. What I admire about Eone is that they design a product to keep in mind that it's universal. So John, who is sighted, can wear the watch and I can wear the watch, and it functions the same way for both of us. We can both tell time with it. Just because I'm visually impaired doesn't mean I don't care about how things look or what I look like. So I appreciate that Eone took all of these factors to heart when designing their product. I think women carry a large part of society. I need to hear the stuff pouring in, so don't talk, John.
All right, that's the warranty. It's 1 ounce.
1 ounce. So I think it's important to acknowledge the role that women do play in this world, and I feel like International Women's Day is the prime time to honor them. I think it's so lovely that our world is so full of people that are so different, and what my passion is connecting people and showing them that as humans, even though we're so different, on the inside, we're very much the same.